Okay, this is a 1972 Chevy Suburban, which has a really bad power drain. Battery will drain overnight, just sitting here. So we're gonna look for a parasitic power draw. And I want to show you something here before we get started. It's a little trick I learned. And I got the key on right now just to show this, and then we'll turn the key off. But see, I got the voltmeter set, so we'll read millivolts. And what you can do to see if something is drawing current is, like if you go on, see, it's going once, not drawing any current. So it's on there and you see it just reads 001. Okay. Now, I know this one is drawing current right now since the key's on, so we'll do the same thing. Test these on each end of that fuse. And see, now we're reading 13 millivolts. And what that is the fuse is causing just a little bit of resistance, so you're getting just a slight voltage drop on that fuse when the current's flowing. So here, I'll show you these. Like, we got power, so test lights on, test lights on, test lights on. So there is power on these, but you're gonna see that the ones that aren't drawing anything on the meter here don't have any current flow. So first one we'll do is one without current flow. See, I'm connected to each side of that fuse, and see, we're just 001. Okay, now this next one, I have the key on just to show you this, and this fuse right here I'm at is drawing some current, so we'll go to each side of that fuse there, and you see we're drawing 12 millivolts. And then I'll turn the key off here. Key's off. So now that fuse is not drawing any voltage. And we'll connect to the same one again. Or I mean, not drawing any amps. And see, we're down to 0 millivolts. So that's a way, instead of coming down here and you know, putting your amp meter on the battery and then having to pull a fuse, run out, check the amp meter, see if it dropped, come back, pull, you know, pulling every fuse. You can just come in here and do that, then you just see which ones are drawing the amps, and then just pull those ones and then check. This helps speed things up a little bit. Now, I already did all these in here, and with the key off, none of them are drawing any power. So the problem's somewhere else, so I'm gonna have to go check some stuff under the hood here now. I got the amp. Got this set in the amp 20 amp setting. Then it's got one lead connected to the negative post, and then the other lead connected to the negative cable, so it runs through the meter and it reads the amps. And you see it's drawing right now 1.4, 1.7 amps. And we come back here to the back of the alternator, and it's this terminal, this wire. Let's see if I can get that. So I'm wiggling that wire right now, and you can see it jumping, moving around all over. So now what we'll do is we'll disconnect this undo that wire, that blue wire. See, I got it unplugged. Connect this back. And the draw's gone. Just one more thing to check when you're checking for these power drains. Alright, so you can see that the amp draws actually dropped down quite a bit. I think it was up, what, around 2 amps it was drawn. Now we're down to 160, 170 milliamps, which is still way too high. This thing shouldn't be drawing anything with the key off. It doesn't have a working radio in there, so it should be right around 0. So we narrowed it down to these wires back here at the back of the alternator. And see, now it's gone up, so I'm playing with them. So let's go over to the voltage regulator. Actually, yeah, let me get my light. Alright, I got the voltage regulator pulled off here, and the key's off. So the only one that should have power is this red one right here, which does this old voltmeter seen better days, but see, that's got power. Now the rest of these shouldn't have any power. And you see that there's supposed to be one there where it looks like it's 0. And you see there's power there. And yeah, so that one's got power. That one's got some power. And that one's got some power. So something's feeding power through here. So, according to this wiring diagram, see that red, so that's connected directly to the battery, so that should have power all the time. Now, I like the white one. That just goes directly to the alternator, and then the blue one goes directly to the alternator. So none of these should have any power on them. Let's see, we're still at 200 milliamps. So hang on, I'm going to disconnect the voltage regulator. Got the voltage regulator disconnected, and see, as soon as I disconnected it, the power drain's gone. Okay, so now the only wire that should have power on it would be this red one, because it's coming directly from the battery, which it does. Now, none of these other ones should have any power on them. Now here's that white one. It's coming right from the alternator, and look, it's got 2.6 volts on it. As we see on the diagram, that wire right there, it just goes directly to the alternator. So the only way it can have power on it is if it's backfeeding the alternator, somehow letting power go through that circuit. And to show that, what we'll do is the main red wire that comes from the battery to the alternator, we'll disconnect that. And here is your voltage is starting to drop. So it looks like this thing needs a new alternator. It's guess what, bad diodes is letting that power from that direct line from the battery to the alternator, it's letting that power come back through that white wire, and then that's somehow closing contacts or letting it go through the voltage regulator and then over to the battery, so it's letting it draw the power. So it looks like a new alternator should fix this problem. One last thing. I just wanted to make sure that it was an alternator. So I looked online. I know it's hard to find stuff on this old 70s charging system with the external regulator. But I found something, a diagram, but it was really small. When you zoomed in on it, it was all blurry, so I redrew it. So remember, this is the regulator here, and then this would be the alternator. So we disconnected the regulator, and at that point, all we had was power on this red wire, which you should, because it goes right to the battery. But then we still had power on the white wire. And looking at this diagram, this white wire goes into the alternator, and I'm assuming this is the windings, brushes, or whatever. We see here we got diodes. Okay. So now here, this is that post where the red wire connects to that comes directly from the battery on the alternator. Now you see it is connected through the windings to that white wire, but these diodes are supposed to stop the current or voltage from coming through here. These diodes are only supposed to allow the current to go this way and not backfeed through here. So with this disconnected, the only way that white wire can get power would be from here. So that's telling me some of these diodes are bad, and it's letting some voltage trickle through here and come back in here. Which then might explain why we had power on the blue. I'm thinking maybe it was just enough that it caused enough of a magnetic field here where it partially closed, where these contacts were just making a little bit of contact, and then maybe it's back feeding through. Which I got the voltage regulator here. We're going to check just to make sure these aren't stuck. But I would think if they were stuck closed, because that's battery voltage, we would see battery voltage like on that wire. Or, let's see, in this wire. Because these are contacts, but there's, from what I read, they're supposed to be closed when the key's off. So it would backfeed through there, and that would go to that blue wire. But just to make sure that these contacts aren't closed, that red wire would be right here. That would be this. Okay, so if those contacts are closed, or even partially closed, we're going to get continuity from here to here, which would be from here to here. Okay, so I got this audio beep. We got continuity. Okay. So here to here, we have nothing. There to there, nothing. So those contacts aren't closed. But this is, I've never really messed with this old system before. Everything I've dealt with has been internally regulated on the alternator. So this is kind of a learning experience for me. So if I'm missing something and somebody knows, put it in the comments. Let me know. Yeah, just kind of bugging me. I just want to make sure that it's alternator. I'm 90% sure it's the alternator. I just want to make sure there was no other problems. But like I said, it's hard to find anything on the internet about this old system. So let me know. Thanks.